And this one is a choose-your-own-adventure style game that takes place in a Cthulhu mythos dream world, where players are going to have to overcome that dream in order to wake up. There are a whole bunch of different characters in this game with their own unique set of stats and abilities, and you'll be choosing one at the start of the game and then sliding them into this player board, which you're going to be using to track their various conditions and their different stats and trackers. And it's also going to be providing different areas for you to put in tokens depending on what happens as you play through the adventure. Abilities are going to help you bend the rules of the game in various ways, while your stats are going to be helping you with particular skill checks. You're also going to be starting with 3 random items at the start of the game, which are going to be giving you certain effects or one-time use abilities, and then you're also going to be starting with 3 runes to help with your various skill checks. The game provides a whole bunch of different decks, with some of them offering you clues, items, or even presenting different threats or conditions, with each of those decks also potentially having locked cards that you'll need to meet the requirements of before they make their way onto the table. But like I said, this is a choose-your-own-adventure game that takes place in a dream world, and I think the theme on this one really props up this game to do the choose-your-own-adventure genre right, because there is a few aspects of this game that I am really impressed with one of those being that there are a bunch of different stories in this game, but each time you play it, you are not limited to exploring just one of these stories. Each story is not its own standalone scenario. Instead, you can mix these together, and since you're in a dream world, you can actually jump from story to story, changing up your adventure and the different locations that you might explore. But something else that I think is really cool, and this is my favorite aspect of this game, is that in this choose your own adventure, if you go down a path that turned out to be not what you hoped it to be, or maybe you failed a skill check and you weren't able to go the way that you wanted to. Well, the thing with this game is that any time that a card is resolved, it's actually going to be going into your memory bank, and there are actually ways that you can bring cards out of the memory bank in order to reset yourself back to that time, and then re-challenge that card to get a different outcome. Honestly, I wish something like this was in every choose-your-own-adventure game, because whenever I play one of these, I find myself just resetting and cheating the game a little bit just to see the storyline the way that I want to see it go, or especially when the impact of your decisions isn't really presented to you well enough before you make the decision. It can feel kind of random to just choose something and go in that direction, where in this game, even if some of the cards have that problem, it still gives you the opportunity to go back and try something different. So I really love this, and I want to see this in more choose your own adventure games. But like I said, you're going to be moving through the adventure, and some of those turning points are going to be determined by different skill checks. And in this game, skill checks are not done with dice, but instead done with tokens. These work very similarly, where you're going to be taking some of these tokens and then rolling them, with each side of the token having a different result, but you're essentially trying to piece them together to get as many stars as possible. Some of these tokens are better than others, and you can acquire more throughout the game, and the amount that you do get to roll for a given skill check does depend on your stats for the particular skill that's being challenged. But of course, this wouldn't be complete without a little bit of push your luck, so some of these tiles can have very good outcomes on them, like this one that just grants you a star if it lands on the appropriate side, but some of these could also have these Cthulhu tokens, and anytime that those get flipped, well, you're going to have some negative effects. That icon's going to cause you to put one of these Cthulhu tokens onto the various spaces on your board, essentially locking off that skill or ability until you're able to get that token removed. Also, if you get too many of these, you can permanently lose your abilities, and also if you get too many, you can just straight up lose the game. Some of the story cards also have a red icon located in the top left corner of the card, and anytime that you encounter one of these cards, you're going to be moving the event token up the event track, probably causing some negative effects, which is going to be putting a fire under you to try and win the game quickly before too many bad things start happening to you. Luckily, you will also be gaining experience points as you play the game, and that's going to be moving your experience cube up the XP track. And you can spend this at any time to use any of the abilities that that token has made it to, but that will reset the track, forcing you to restart from the beginning anytime that you want to activate one of those special actions. If you're able to survive those story decks long enough to find the gates you need to escape the dream world, then you win the game. But if you lose your health or go insane or get too many of those red tokens put on your board, then you lose the game and you stay trapped in that dream forever in a horrible H.P. Lovecraft universe with a ton of different monsters. But luckily you are probably also insane at this point, so maybe it's not all that bad. Links in the description below.